If you've been around the personal finance world for any length of time, you will have heard of the 4% rule. This magical rule where if you save up 25 times your annual expenses, you can live off your investments and never have to work another day in your life. Sounds sweet, right? Well, none other than the bastions of investment, the OG of index funds, Vanguard, have brought out a new study showing that the 4% rule is broken for early retirees. What does it say? What do? Grab yourself a cup of tea. Let's get started. Hot! My name's Dav Morse. I'm here to educate and inspire you to make the most of your money, to live generously and impact the world beyond just yourself. Now, if you did notice a different background in my last video, then yes, I did film that when I was on a home exchange. Check out my video on home exchanging as soon as you've watched this one. The 4% rule is a staple of the FIRE community, and I can understand why. It is a great starting point when you're introducing this concept to someone for the first time. To change your mindset about work and money, to realise that once your investment pot gets to 25 times your annual expenses, then working becomes optional. It's kind of a red pill moment when you realise that you're not stuck in the rat race forever. There is a way out. And as a starting point, having 25 times your annual salary as something to work towards is a great idea. It keeps things simple and it puts you on the right track of saving and investing. But Vanguard of all people have brought out this new paper updating the 4% for early retirees. I presume if you're watching this you have some interest at least in retiring early. I certainly am enjoying my retirement, but it doesn't even have to be that early. Even a time horizon of 30 years starting at age 55 only takes you up to 85. We have to question whether the 4% rule will work. So let's begin with a quick recap of the 4% rule. Did you know that the original 4% rule looked at the stock market from a period of 50 years from 1926 to 1976? It was updated in 1994 by a financial advisor called William Bengen. He concluded that even in the worst case scenario, there was no 33-year period in which you would run out of money, even accounting for inflation. Good news so far, but Vanguard have updated the 4% rule for early retirees like you and me. So what will it be? Will it be 3%? Will it be 2.5%? Time to find out what those clever folk at Vanguard have got to say. Paolo Costa, PhD, David Pakula, CFA, not CFD, and Andrew S. Clark, CFA, seem fairly qualified to talk about this. So let's dive in. They start by saying that 22% of millennials want to retire before age 60. Now combine this early retirement malarkey with the fact that life expectancy has gone up 10 years since 1976, then you can see why having a longer time period than just 30 years is going to be important. I don't know about you, but I plan to live till 102 so that I can celebrate my 80-year wedding anniversary. 16 years this week, so I'm a fifth of the way there. If I retired at 36, then that is a long time to be retired for. The first thing they address is that past performance is no guarantee of future results. Classic stuff. They predict using forecasts from the Vanguard Capital Markets model, whatever the heck that might be, that the returns over the next 10 years will be nowhere near what we're used to from historical data. In fact, they predict going forward that returns are likely to be closer to 4% than the 10.37% that we're used to over the last 96 years. If this 4.02% figure turns out to be accurate, then using the 4% rule clearly isn't going to work. You're going to take out 4% each year and then you're going to be losing money to inflation. But who knows what the markets might do in the future? If mathematics has taught me anything, then it is nobody knows just what the future holds. Oh wait, was that mathematics or was that S Club 7? There's a massive takeaway for us when they address the second risk of the original 4% rule, which is using a 30-year time period. As you go from a 30-year time horizon to a 50-year time horizon, your chances of success go from 81.9% all the way down to 36%, which is pretty bad. This is when I thought, somebody needs to tell people about this. This is big news. And that's why you're subscribed, and that's why I'm making this video for you. You're welcome. The next thing they address about fees is even bigger. So from this point on in the paper, they're using a 50-year time horizon. Now in the original 4% rule, it assumed a 0% fee. Vanguard have shown in this paper the effects of fees as they increase the fees from 0 to 100 basis points, which is basically just 1%. You change your chances of success using a 50-year time period from 36% down to 8.6%. Mental. It just goes to show how important fees are. And if you haven't started investing yet and you want a low fee platform to use, then you can sign up to Trading 2 or Freetrade with my links down below. Also feel free to check out Stake. If you want free stock and ETF trading on US markets, then Stake is a great place to go. Another risk that this paper addresses is a risk that they call dollar plus inflation risk. I didn't realise this was a feature of the 4% rule, so let me just explain what's going on. Under the original 4% rule, what you would do is you'd take out 4% of your initial FI number every year, adjusted for inflation, regardless of what the market did. So if you had £1 million FI number, then you'd want an annual spending of £40,000, and that would mean that you would take out £40,000 every year, regardless of whether the market was up or whether the market was down. The scary thing here is over a 50-year time period, if the market performs in the bottom 25%, then essentially you would run out of money. Imagine being out of the workforce for 40 years and then having to try and get a job again age 75. Pretty scary, huh? So what are we going to do about it? So Vanguard have 4 suggestions for us early retirees of what we can do to make sure that we don't run out of money and we can still meet that 4% withdrawal rate. Stick around after that because I'm going to offer you an alternative, which means you don't have to worry about any of this. Here are Vanguard's suggestions of how to update the 4% rule. Number 1. Diversify your investments so that you include international stocks and bonds, not just domestic stocks and bonds. According to Vanguard's forecast, the S&P 500 will not continue to perform as it has done, and in fact, if you include having international stocks and bonds in your portfolio, then you increase your chances of success from 36% to 56.3%. Number 2, reduce fees as much as possible. Fees of 0.2% instead of 1% can increase the safe withdrawal rate from 2.8% to 3.3%. Closer to the 4%, but still not quite there. Number 3, adopt a dynamic spending policy. That basically means if you've got a FI number of £1 million, it means not just automatically withdrawing £40,000 every year. If the market is up, you can afford to withdraw a little bit more, and if the market is down, then you take out a little bit less. So this is why it's important to be flexible with your costs and your standards of living. If you can say, well, the market's down this year, so maybe we can live off £35,000 instead of £40,000 or maybe even £30,000, then you're going to massively increase your chances of success. So despite saying that the 4% rule doesn't work for early retirees, if you adopt these 3 changes, then you can actually use the 4% rule with much more confidence. So the 4% rule is still alive and kicking, albeit with some changes. Finally then, I've got one more suggestion for you. What if you didn't have to worry about the 4% rule? What if you didn't have to worry about a safe withdrawal rate? Am I going to be okay if the market crashes? Will I have to go back to work? Well, if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll have heard my motto, build a life for yourself that you don't want to retire from. How about thinking what your life would look like if you could never retire? What if you didn't have to reach your FI number before retiring? I'm retired, but I'm not FI yet. Want to know more? Then check out these videos right here. I go into much more depth of how to create a life that you don't want to retire from. You've got about 10 seconds left to smash the like button and hit the subscribe before I see you in the next video. Peace out.